The amount of topics that you are dealing with, not just in your line of work, but in our lives, that are the unspeakable topics. My grandmother said you are never supposed to talk about these kind of things. I created a career out of those things. One of the things that I've noticed over these decades of work is there's a common theme as to why we don't think we're enough. It doesn't matter which topic I pick, there's too many to choose from. Some topics you're comfortable with, other topics you don't want to dive into. You don't want to have those conversations. You hope they don't come up in conversation. What I've done is I've created a subliminal diversity training disguised as a humorous communication talk. The reason why is that if I say up front, we are enough and we're responsible for the belief that we aren't, that gets a little overwhelming. I'll build to there. What I mean is that we are responsible for being frustrated. We are responsible for feeling divisive. We're responsible for feeling polarized. There's a reason why we react the way we do. If you've completed the assessment, feel free to work along if you haven't. What I'm saying is that I have a pattern. This is the pattern of how we respond. It's either heady, hearty, or action-oriented. Austin in the elevator, heady. Doesn't mean intelligent, not saying she wasn't. It just means detail-oriented, specific, timing, vocabulary words, details. Hearty does not mean maternal, thank goodness. It means the ability to connect to something much larger from a smaller incident. This little thing will happen and boom, it blows up here. And action-oriented, I'm definitely action-oriented. I don't really care about the details, just where do you want these chairs, right? Just what do I do? So let's dive into a simple subject. Let's take politics. If we were to look at the political atmosphere right now, what is important to understand is all three of these variables are necessary, needed, and in us. Your lived experience is exactly the tool set you need to survive what's happening right now. You do not need anything extra. What I invite you to do today in the time we have is to pick the most frustrating people in your life. You're welcome. But if you can envision the most frustrating people in your life, and then you can hold them in a space that I call differently right. Now, I'm not getting into moral relativism here. I just mean differently right for like 30 seconds, then they can be wrong again, okay? But if you can do this, you're responsible for your own frustration levels. We tend to show up with two of these variables, head, heart, or action. The third one I call the third rail. Any New Yorkers? Woot woot, yes, very nice. So the third rail is the thing on the subway you can't touch because it'll kill you, but it also powers the entire subway. If you can figure out the third one, the one you show up with the least, you can actually gas pedal your way through anything. Now, the reason why this is so relevant is because a lot of books like Difficult Conversations, Crucial Conversations, Courageous Conversations, Fierce Conversations, all of these conversations are important. But when I read these books, at the end, they maybe because I was raised by citing salesmen and professional athletes, but the end always was like, insert Jedi skill training here. Like, how can I manipulate what I say so that you do what I want you to do? I wanted to write a book that was about responsibility, not about manipulation. So, here's a tip. I can't make anybody do anything. If you have not figured that out yet, good luck. I can't make anybody do anything. If we want to be really honest, I can't even make myself do something all the time. Yeah, example, P90X. You're familiar with this? Yeah, it's in the suitcase. Tony, with his abs and his big arms, says the most important thing to do is to hit play. Well, I got that. I hit play and I eat Cheetos. I do rotate arms so that I don't compensate, right? If I can't make myself do something all the time, how on earth or why on earth do I think I have some kind of magical power to make somebody else be different? What I realized is my archetypes weren't perfect. Just let that soak in. They're not perfect. We've written a story that they were perfect so that we can distance ourselves from them. I challenge you, if you believe something, question it. If you come back to it, you'll believe in it that much more. More importantly, you'll be able to explain it to somebody else. Question it. If you don't come back to it, figure out what you believe in. You matter. And I disagree that you matter more now than you did before whatever arbitrary date. You mattered then too. We're just here now. I need you to understand it's not so different if you don't treat it like so different. We're so polarized right now. What are you doing to make that not true? How are you extending kindness, making someone feel included? Recognize you have fear. When you recognize it, you're giving light to it. It becomes less scary some of the time. That's great. Don't wait until it's gone, because I don't know that that'll ever happen. What's important to understand is that these things that are happening around us that directly impact not just our work, our client services, but our ability to buy a cantaloupe in the grocery store with a smile on our face. If we can realize that right now, we have a lot of heart action stuff happening. When we are quoting what somebody says, we are re-injuring someone. Words are an act of violence. And I don't have to tell this audience that, you know that. But when you are off the clock, are you using those same tools to keep division from happening? I'm able to show up in a trifecta. I may not be perfect, but I'm certainly good enough to do the best you can with what you got some of the time. Do the best you can with what you got some of the time. When we get to the enough piece, it's really noticing the crucible moments of your life. A lot of us have survived a lot to get where we're at. Sometimes someone comes to you and they bring up an issue, whether it's trans inclusion or transracial adoption, abuse, violence, trauma, just to name a few of the words. I only got to page 18 before I had to take a nap. When someone comes to you, your job is to help them see that they're enough. And sometimes we move into fix-it mode, head action. But really what they need is a listener. You can listen without actually knowing all of the answers. You can be there for someone to make an educated referral. That's what being enough is about. It's not an us and them. It's you've been chosen for this moment to have a conversation. It is an honor to be able to speak at an event that took all that into consideration and did what matters. It's an honor. What you can do now is pay attention to each connection opportunity you feel like paying attention to. With each connection, listen. Hold space for feedback. Notice the patterns that you show up with as to who you talk with, who you connect with. In this audience, I'm assuming you know the difference between, look, I'm listening, lunch is soon, and like connection, real connection. Do that some of the time, maybe a little more than normal. Smile. Not because it's our women's job to smile at everyone, but because you have like a source of kindness in you. If you see somebody without a smile, you can give them yours because you can make more. Quoting my favorite person on the planet, Dolly Parton. Smile. Notice your own patterns. Take responsibility for your own patterns. Right now, I'm the best tool I've got, which is terrifying. That is such bad news for y'all. But now, if I can hold my incongruencies and at least recognize them, I can keep the parts of me I really like. It's fun over here. What's left are a couple things I can pay attention to. I can notice. I can take responsibility for those things and work on those pieces. It's not about working on them. It's about working on them. Because this is how I show up. Once you notice those patterns, take responsibility for them. If you need to, uncover the roots of those patterns. Surprise, I have daddy issues. Who knew? Everyone in my entire life knew except for me, but whatever, I worked on it. Once you uncover those roots, do your own work. Somebody else's job on this planet is not to catch you up. Do your own work. If you do that, you are less likely to feel like, oh, what do I do now? You do you is what you do now. Notice your patterns, uncover the roots. Listen to others as if they're wise. People are telling you your unintended impact all the time. It is free counseling. Do you listen to it? And then last, repeat. Do it again. You're not done. This is how to be good enough now. Thank you very much.